Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Ashwini, and thanks to CJIS for having me here. Maria is right. This is really, as I listen to the speakers preceding me, this is a continuing conversation. And even coming into this, I viewed this as a continuation of conversations we've been having for 16 years in the buildup of the analytical capability of the State Fusion Center in New Jersey, the NJ-ROC, and particularly a discussion that we had at the IACP Tech Conference in Salt Lake City last year. So I want to bring you up to speed on that and talk about how we're in New Jersey, we're using data technology and integrated justice information systems to have measurable impacts on public safety issues in New Jersey. But first of all, my name is Joe. If you have any questions, please just yell them out. I encourage that because outside of this room, I'm probably the most boring person ever. This is the only thing I know about. So please ask me questions about crime in New Jersey. I also have been accused of talk fast, and I've had 501 cups of coffee right now, and I have 502 in my hand. So just stop me if I get too ahead of myself. But let me level set things too. New Jersey is a state of 9 million people. It's nestled between two significant urban centers, the city of New York and the city of Philadelphia. It's policed by, I guess I don't even know if I should use that term anymore, right? But it's we're policed by 33,000 cops across 565 police departments. We make about 118,000 arrests a year, but on 81,000 unique individuals. So it's a lot of repeat offenders. The three primary public safety issues in the state of New Jersey are people getting shot, people overdosing from fentanyl, and cars getting stolen. That's outside of terrorism, of course. Those are the three main public safety issues that affect my colleagues across the state of New Jersey. And we'll talk about the numbers. We average around 13,000 people shot a year in the state of New Jersey. About 250 of those are fatal. We got as high as 4,000 people fatally overdosing in the state of New Jersey. And we're going to get to some good news in a couple of minutes. But and we just started to get our hands around motor vehicle theft on a statewide scale through a partnership with the FBI through CJIS. We had 16,800 cars stolen last year. As of this morning, 177 people have been shot in the state of New Jersey, 41 fatally. We've recovered 918 guns, 600 by arrest. We're at around 3,000 stolen motor vehicles right now. We're at 575 people that have fatally overdosed from predominantly fentanyl, and we've distributed 3,024 doses of naloxone across the state of New Jersey. Those are all up-to-date, real-time numbers. That's what we're dealing with. So what does that mean? In 2023, so I'll give you a little story. 2021, June of 2021, we're still in COVID. We're experiencing mass demonstrations across the state. The police are distracted with these other missions. Shootings were going out of control. We were 86% above where we were in 2020, and 2020 was an up year on 2019. The graph that the analysts were showing was just a red line going straight up. We needed something to change that, and as luck would have it, we've kept incredible data sets since 2009 on real-time shootings and real-time gun recoveries. But they were, as good as they were separate. They were kept separate. In June of 2021, we were able to integrate that with AFIS information, and for the first time ever, we got a real-time understanding of what police were, the type of impact they were having on shootings in the state of New Jersey. We were making an average of 300 arrests, and that stands to today, about 300 arrests a day across the state. Without fail, statistically, 10 people have been involved in shootings, either as a suspect victim or suspect and victim. Without fail, 10 a day. We have bail reform in the state of New Jersey. How many people have bail reform in their states, right? So there's a presumption, there's no presumption of incarceration. So the police are making these arrests, the perpetrators are then released back into society. What we were able to do is to convince the Attorney General with this data that we can have bail reform, right? The spirit of bail reform, but not for these individuals involved in shootings that are a small number of people, a very, very small number of people that are driving violent crime throughout the state. That we should use this information. There's a provision in bail reform in the state of New Jersey that lets local prosecutors argue for pretrial detention based on a threat to public safety. And we posited that people getting shot were a threat to public safety. Today's victim is tomorrow's shooter. We have the data to support that. 78% of our victims have a criminal history. The other 22, they were standing next to the 78%. So we have the data to support that as well. So incarceration for that small number of people driving violent crime in the state of New Jersey, the Attorney General drafted a directive that created a task force, but not a task force that you would see on TV or maybe even have in your mind of cops in ninja geared, jumping through windows and breaking into houses and stuff. This was a task force of analysts and prosecutors. And what they did was they met daily. They looked at those arrest numbers, and they looked at those 10 individuals. And we brought all of the data and information that we have, all objective data based on behavior of those individuals together into a packet. We then would contact, we would have a call, we would discuss the merits of incarcerating those individuals. We'd have a call with the local prosecutor that would have to argue for this detention, and that immediately started to drive shootings down. And when I say drive shootings down, police commanders across this country, you turn on the news, they want to reduce gun violence. They want to reduce gun violence. In New Jersey, we want to reduce the number of people shot in the state. The other commanders are saying that because they don't track it like we do. We're the only state in the nation that tracks shooting victims in real time. So we can say that. We can actually state a goal. We want to reduce the number of people shot. That's our metric. Not arrests, not guns recovered, people shot. It immediately started to drive it down. So in the end of 2023, we saw a 25% reduction in shootings. When I spoke in Salt Lake City, we were seeing a decrease in 2023 as well. We were a modest decrease over the 2025. A 25% reduction is hard to sustain. In Salt Lake City, we were pretty good. We were down about 15%, but we were coming into the warm weather months, and we started to see that that sort of margin start to decrease to the point where at the end of May, we were at a 2% reduction, and we were concerned because the trend was going in the wrong direction. We were hanging on because of what I just talked about, because of that passive receipt of information and working with the prosecutors. We were relying on what the police were already doing. So I got as Maria said, I'm the branch commander of the investigations branch of the New Jersey State Police. We're up to 825 scientists, analysts, and detectives now. Within that is the NJ-ROC Diffusion Center. So in the investigations branch, data and technology drive analysis. Analysis drives priorities, and priorities analysis drive operations. I got my commanders together. We're looking at this, the trend, the 5-year trend of what we're looking at in the warm weather months of 2023. We were projecting for 1,057 people to be shot. That's what we were projecting based on the analysis. So I told them, let's see what can the New Jersey State Police do, and our partners, what can we do to actively reduce the number of people shot? And let's set a goal. Let's set a goal for under 1,000. And they said, hey, boss, how are we going to do that? I said, easy. We're going to get 58 people unshot. So they said, how are we going to do that? And so what we do, we track every piece of data associated to a shooting and a gun recovery. So we have this tremendous amount of data. So we looked at the data, and we analyze it every year. We looked at the data, and we saw that, as I said, 78% of the victims have criminal histories. 4 out of 10 victims have prior gun recoveries, too. So we're talking about people, recidivist gun possessors. We also saw that 191 people were wanted at the time that they were shot. So now this goes back to old police thought that if we affect warrants, we'll reduce crime. And this goes back to the NYPD. Jack Maple was a big proponent of finding out who in your AOR has an active warrant. Because we have specific data on, the old way of doing it was just, the state police had no real access to data information. We would go into a jurisdiction or an AOR that was experiencing increased violence, number of people shot, and we would try and collect that. And what we would get was sheriff's departments wanting to unload their dockets on us. And we'd end up with about 40 people with, lack of child support or a cracked windshield ticket unpaid. And we would go in there and we'd arrest about 40 people, and we would have zero impact on the environment, zero. With this technology now, we gained access to the administrative courts information. We gained access to live warrant data. So now we can look into a jurisdiction, we could drop a pin on it, and we can find all of the individuals in an area with a criminal history. We can sort that down for people involved in shootings. We can sort that down further for people involved in shootings that are recidivist gun possessors, and then people with warrants. So now we've taken this 20 or 30 target operation, and we narrow it down to 10 impactful individuals, and we could turn that, the operational preparation time was months to do this. We've turned this into minutes with technology. We now have a weekly, so that meeting, the hey boss, how are we going to do this, continued every Wednesday since May of last year. And we brought our partners in too, and we started to identify other levers that we can pull. So we ended 2023 with 924 people shot. That was the safest summer since we've been tracking this information since 2009. It was the lowest number of people shot, and we got way more than 48 people unshot. We got a lot of people unshot. And we're continuing that now. I think really just a quick live demonstration. A couple more numbers. Drug-related deaths down 24% in the state of New Jersey too, and motor vehicle theft down. We started the year up 2%. But we're down 5%. What we found too, the analysis tells us some really interesting things too about those 3 public safety issues. Not all drug dealers and car thieves are shooters, but all of our shooters are drug dealers and car thieves. So when we take them off the grid, when we're very, very specific, take them off the grid, all the other numbers start to go down as well. And from a procedural justice point of view too, we're not going into an area and over-policing that area. The old methodology, right, to go into an area that's experiencing gun violence would be to map it, time it, go into certain street corners, time of day a week, and then basically, try and see who's got a gun. Because we track every gun arrest, we know that 1 out of 10 is a knife hit or used in a shooting. So even if you go into a neighborhood, you throw everybody up against the wall, you're over-policing, you're creating you're creating unnecessary conflicts and confrontations, hoping that you get 1 out of 10 guns. Even if you get a gun, it's 1 in 10 chance of it being shot. We're actually going now after people we know that are carrying specific guns. We track even the guns that are out in the environment that we want to take off the streets as well. So let me go in and just show you real quick how we do this. This is last night, 333 individuals. It's an APHIS feed into the system, and it has all of our other data feeds as well. If you notice the icons next to the names, those are hits on data sets. Like I said, I'm boring. I don't go to Vegas or Atlantic City. This is the closest thing, pulling a handle. The more icons, the more hits on a data set that we have with individuals. You're starting to see that there's certain individuals that have a lot. We can filter that for shootings. I said, right, about 300 arrests a day. We're at 333. About 10 without fail are involved in shootings. And the time it takes me to sip a cup of coffee, I got 14 individuals last night that were arrested today and have some involvement in shootings. This individual, if they're red, they're incarcerated, which is good. That means that we've successfully argued for their detention. So you can see that a lot of them, these individuals were actually detained last night. But let me get to some oohs and ahs here. This guy's got a lot of action, but oh, that's not something I wanted to say. Not when you're demonstrating technology, right? What this is going to do, it's going to visually represent all of the hits on the data sets, and then I start playing with the data, looking for. But these are association charts at the touch of a button on individuals. So today at 1 o'clock New Jersey time, we call it, when we started the meeting, it was called U1K, right? Under 1,000 was the goal. That was the intended goal. So everybody knew, we started every meeting too. Where are we? How are we doing? we would not only bring in police commanders the commanders under my command, but also the detectives, the guys that had to actually, the mid-level sergeants and lieutenants that actually had to bring this message out and do the work. Because we don't have all the answers, the bosses at in command. We don't have all the answers. We need that information coming from the cops and the troopers that have to go out and do the work as well. So they bought into the mission. And then they started to call the details they would conduct U1K details, U1K. So now that we're under 1,000, the meeting has changed to U9C. So it's under 900 is what we're shooting for now. But they would have started the meeting today looking at Patterson is spiking right now. So one of the parts of the meeting would be to pull up Patterson, New Jersey, for individuals involved in shootings. And we'll take another sip of coffee. And there we go. Well, that's a lot. 569 individuals right now. Let's take that down to a more manageable. And we can look to. We can filter it by number of shootings you've been involved in. My man here, Mr. Justice Chambers, he's been involved in three shootings. Anybody been involved in 3 shootings? Yeah, no, because you're not supposed to be, right? Another individual. So we have these individuals are essentially urban combat veterans. They know what it's like to shoot. They know what it's like to be shot. So they're a very unique cohort of the population. So what I'm looking to look for is out of these 34 who are wanted. And now on another screen, we could be talking about the specifics of those 3 shootings that an individual is wanted in. And on this screen would be running a warrant check for those individuals. And it's running a little slow, but we should start to see why. A Y next to the name is going to be a positive hit. So essentially, some of these individuals, some of these 34, will end up with a Y, and that'll be a due out for the warrant squad. We also looked at parolees. A significant number of parolees are shot as well. So parole is another level. Well, we're not doing so good in Patterson. We must have done a real good job last week, but we'll see. Somebody's going to pop. We also look at parolees. So we reached out to state parole, and we start to do visits on parolees. The same metrics. We pull up individuals that have been involved in shootings and recidivist gun possessors, and then we work with parole to either have them come in to the parole office or go to their house. We like to go to the house because recidivist gun possessors possess guns. When we get in the house, there's no expectation of privacy with the parole officer, and we're pulling guns out. Not only are we pulling guns out, we're pulling guns. We NIBIN every single gun recovered in the state of New Jersey immediately. We'll know if that gun was used in a shooting. If we're going after people involved in shootings that are recidivist gun possessors, those guns usually come back. The intelligence section of the state police last year recovered 460 guns last year. 209 were by arrest. So some of the other ones were like a carload of guns being trafficked up from South Carolina. The 209 were interesting because 43 of those were NIBIN hits. That's 20% of the guns. That's twice the average of the state recovery of guns. So it showed that we were specifically targeting individuals that we knew were going to have guns that were used in shootings. What's more, 70% of those guns recovered that were NIBIN hits were after we started doing that strategic precision targeting. So it's working. The troopers and the cops are bought into it. The community is bought into it. We're doing a couple things with the community as well. We also, we look for all sorts of, and we're seeing Ys popping up here. So that would be individuals now, not a 3-month planning process or asking another jurisdiction for warrants. We're determining who we're going to go after in a warrant detail. So that's how quickly we're able to do that. We've brought in other various entities. We have our federal partners come to the strategy meeting as well. We partner with them. Just last week, we have an FBI ASAC for crime who sits, and one of his analysts who's embedded at our real-time crime center. They sit in the meeting, they brief, and their priorities become our priorities as well. We had a shooting incident in a major New Jersey northeastern city that doesn't usually experience shooting hits, but when they do, it becomes a back and forth. Every 2 years or so, there's a back and forth. We had a shooting murder a couple weeks ago. I asked the Real-Time Crime Center Central what we had on that shooting. Nothing. FBI raises their hand. They say, listen, we have a target. We're looking at a target that we believe was the perpetrator in that shooting, and we're going to act on that. So that alone, you know, the FBI telling us that they're going to do that is amazing in and of itself, because policing is very proprietary. It's always been proprietary. But in New Jersey, we have a unique relationship with our partners that the FBI feels comfortable enough to tell us that they're going to move on a target that they think was responsible for a shooting that they know is of interest to us. We've also embedded troopers on their task forces as well, so that increases the buy-in. They effected that arrest. They recovered a gun. The gun was nibing back to that shooting murder, and that likely stopped a string of back and forth retail shootings in that jurisdiction. So FBI is brought in. We also have working with us now VIVA, Violence Interrupters and Victim Advocacy. So there's grant money that the state has, and they go out and they give the money to groups that try to intervene as best they can. The state came to us and said, hey, what can we do? How can we do this better? So when we go through the list of names in a jurisdiction, is the person wanted? Is the person on parole? Do we have an investigation on them? Does the state police have an investigation on them? Does the FBI, ATF, HSI, DEA, they're all in the room. We deconflict right in the room. If we start to go through all of those levers and there's nothing, the state police will then go out and monitor that individual, and they're going to steal a car, deal drugs, or shoot somebody. So we're going to end up arresting them. If that doesn't happen, then we give those names to the violence interrupters as another lever, and they go out and they make contact with those individuals. So we're directing those individuals toward people likely to shoot or be shot. We piloted it last year. They went out on 14 individuals. 2 of them were rearrested, and these are hyper-violent individuals. 2 of them were rearrested. After that, none of them were shot. So we're considering that a success. It was a good partnership, and we're looking to expand that program as well. Another technology that we use. So the technology that I showed you too is available across the state. Of the 33,000 cops, 7,000 people have access to that screen I showed you before. This is another technology platform that we use, and quite frankly, we have paid millions of dollars for stuff like this that never came to fruition. This is free, web-based, secure, and free. This is the HIS and Adobe Connect platform. The challenge in New Jersey is sharing all of this information in real time with all of our 565 partners. What we have here, this is a live room. It's a 24-hour virtual command post that is monitored and facilitated by the NJ Rock Diffusion Center and the 3 real-time crime centers. There's 93 police departments on there right now live. It's modeled after Stanley McChrystal's daily webinar that he had when he brought the Special Ops Community together overseas. In the middle is significant events, and pretty much all of the stats that I spoke about. We have guidance, what we're looking for, what we're monitoring for the day, and then all of the stats that we spoke about. These are updated, some of them in real time, some of them at the very least 24 hours a day. On the left side of the screen are intelligence products that answer questions that were asked on the right side of the screen in the chat room or during one of our 2 scheduled briefs, which are Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:15. And it's in 15 minutes. It's essentially a state of the state of what's going on in New Jersey, and it's a push-pull. This is a push-pull too. We're asking information on, we have migrant buses that are coming to New Jersey from the state of Texas. They're coming to New Jersey because there's legislation that the mayor of the city of New York, he limited the scope of time that buses come in. So they're coming into New Jersey, and then the passengers are then training, taking the train into Manhattan, so they're bypassing the Port Authority. We want to know that, not from an enforcement perspective, but we want to know at some point it's going to be too crowded in New York. Almost everybody that gets off the bus goes to New York. At some point, they're not. They're going to stay in New Jersey. We want to make sure that we have the resources to administer to those passengers that are coming from Texas as well. OEM is part of our mission in the city of New Jersey, and that falls under OEM as well. But just to give you an idea of the clear, flat and fast communication, I'm going to just do a radio check with the Rock. Brennan to NJ Rock 21. Now, hopefully they're going to say loud and clear. Loud and clear. So we had some tech issues before, but this has worked in Elks Grove, California. So, but one of the key pieces here is that there's a lot of information coming into the Rock. Sending it by email, like I always tell the guys, if you're using the telephone, we might as well be in the 17th century now. Right? And if you're emailing, it's no good either. By the time somebody reads an email, we need it flat and fast. This is on people's phones too. It turns your phone into a walkie-talkie as well, and you can talk. But what we're trying to do is amplify all of the information coming in to the Rock in real time out to the people who need it the most at the time they need it the most, and that's right now. For 16 years, the Rock was not unable to communicate with our own troopers that were on patrol every day. All of our operational dispatch units are on here now. So when we put information out, the appropriate geographical dispatch unit then relays that information to patrols out in the street. When I say 94 police departments, it's really their chiefs. You'll see chiefs there, and you'll see radio rooms there, amplifying information out there. Right now, one of the tag-on public safety issue concerns now with motor vehicle theft is occupied residential burglaries being committed by motor vehicle thieves. We told people to lock your cars and the motor vehicle theft will go down. Well, it has. It's gone down 5%, but now bad guys are going into the houses to get the keys to the cars, and it's Range Rovers and Mercedes-Benz in New Jersey. So for all you New Jerseyans out there, Range Rovers and Mercedes are the key. But what they're doing is they receive information on a thread, an email thread on known perpetrators that are being stopped in real time by police department, one of the 565 police departments. Then they amplify that message to all the surrounding police departments. So we're starting to get a handle on, again, just like shootings, it's a very, very, very small number of individuals that are creating this trend that's quite frankly causing distress and disorder in the community, and that's our job too. We can say crime is down all we want, but sometimes it's the fear of crime that is, and the perception of disorder that are even worse than the crime itself. So we're working to get a handle on that too. At the U9C meeting today too, we're identifying a North Jersey crew that are responsible for a significant number of these residential burglaries, and they are shooters as well. So they're very, very dangerous individuals. So we're working to get them incarcerated, identified, arrested, and incarcerated. I'll take questions. How am I doing on time, Marie? I could go on all day here, but good deal. Anybody got any questions? I told you, listen, if you get me outside, I don't know anything about sports or, please get me now. Yeah, please.
I'm going to throw a question in there. A couple of things. First of all, I have to say that I'm extremely proud of the Lieutenant Colonel and, of course, of Jersey. But what this absolutely screams is how much is accomplished when you marry the policy issues, the operational priorities, the governance issues that you didn't even talk to, the technology that you showed us pieces of, because I know that there's more behind the scenes, and then, of course, all the collaboration that it maps to. But here is a question. When Ashwini and I actually participated in what was a I-95 corridor session a couple of weeks back, there was reference to wanting to do a solution like this, either with the I-95 corridor participants, and that, of course, expand beyond the state, and then maybe even regional pockets. Do you ever foresee that they would be on a similar or on this platform so that it would be not only the process and the collaboration that happens in those rooms, which is probably the more important part, but supported by the technologies that maybe are in place or could be in place in the future?
Yes, so thank you for that, Maria. Yes, so we had the, when was the I-95 conference? Was in
And we were in Atlantic City, and we were
January,
I think it's, yes, it was wintertime.
end of January, right? So we built, the NJ Rock has built a room for the I-95 corridor. And the I-95 corridor was police executives, state police executives from command staffs from Florida to Toronto and major city chiefs. It was really good. What we found was that the public safety issues that New Jersey is concerned about runs the entire length of the corridor. We built a room like this, Maria, already. It's up and ready to go. But what we want to do is New Jersey's able to produce a product. We can tell you every day who from out of state has been arrested with a gun or any other interest that you have. So what we want to do is we want to build kind of a base around it. When I first started this in New Jersey, my guys were like, they're like, boss, there's 3 people on here today. Like, we're talking to ourselves. I'm like, yeah, but it's the field of dreams of cops. You got to keep doing it, and build it, and they'll come. And that shows it right there on a Wednesday afternoon. 91 police departments are on there. On Tuesday, there were 216 police departments on for a formal brief, and at night that goes up as well because that's when the motor vehicle theft increases. But we have to build it. We have to get certain individuals on it. So what we did to build this, Maria, is we had the chief of department of the New York City Police Department, Madre, came to one of our regional crime reduction strategy meetings in person. They were experiencing a motor vehicle theft problem with New Jersey perpetrators going across the bridges, back and forth across the bridges. We have the NYPD JOC is on here 24/7. We do radio check twice a day. They're one of the primary stakeholders on here as well. So we have the largest police department in the world on here. So that was a draw. So Patterson, Newark Police Department. So we got primary police departments that were invested and could make use and action of this on here. We have to do the same thing with, we have to identify who that's going to be for the I-95 corridor. And then we have to just make that part of our culture, and then it'll extend out. Once we start getting successes, and we will, like we do here. So the New York City Police Department was able to make 24 arrests as a result of the information sharing in the 6 months. They came in June of 2023 on board, and to the point where their aviation comes into New Jersey, and then we can coordinate with the local police departments. This would have never been able to be done without this, and help them basically triangulate the coordinates using ALPR. We have 3,222 ALPR cameras. We're going to have over 5,000 by the end of this year. But that helps us help them catch bad guys. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do.
So did you have to, I'm going to insert one more question, and then I'm going to give the audience another opportunity. But did you have to convince anybody, Joe? And I say in the sense of, I know the leadership within the state police, even within the law enforcement community within the state, it is traditionally a top-down. And I say it in the sense that everybody's independent. It is a home rule, but the truth is the state police sets the tone, guides it, can implement broader strategies. Yeah. Where you had to go either outside of the state or outside of the law enforcement data sources, was there any convincing that has to be had? And the reason I'm asking the question is to figure out, on the one hand, if there's any practitioners in the room, how might they address the same challenge? And then even from a data source issue, how do we get them engaged in wanting them to participate in other programs?
Sure, 2 things, partnership and data. So partnership, we're part of the lexicon now of policing in New Jersey. It's just understood that the ROC is the analytical apparatus for the state. Most of those 565 police departments are 30 people or less. So they don't have helicopters. They don't have boats. We're the largest in the state. We're 3,200 members. And my branch is specifically a service provider. We are constantly providing service out. The other branches through the ROC, police departments call that we have the SWAT, we have boats, we have helicopters, we have K-9. They call us for service. So we're seen as a service provider. We don't steal cases. we come in and support cases. If we can take the lead on something like motor vehicle theft, we have a task force, we're the lead on that. But if there's another public safety problem, gun trafficking, we partner up with ATF. FBI, we partner up with them on multiple, on crime and anti-terrorism. So New Jersey has a pretty unique relationship between and among each other, particularly with our federal partners as well. But that took 16 years to do, and it was ups and downs, and we've been consistently up now. And so now to the point where when new SACs come in from the federal agencies, that's part of the way to do things in New Jersey. They have to be, there's like a rat pack of SACs in New Jersey. They're all, there's one guy's like the Frank Sinatra, the other guy's, the Dean Martin. But so they're pretty funny guys. But we all know each other. We all are invested in these regional crime reduction strategy meetings, so we see each other constantly. So then, too, when something happens, too, if there's a major incident, we're out on a street corner somewhere, we're not exchanging business cards going, hey, I'm Joe, I'm from the state police. They know who I am. They can see, they can see us coming blocks away. Data sets, that has not been easy, too, not by a long shot. The warrant data, we've been asking for that for 16 years. We just got it a few months ago. That's helping us be more precise and more just. And they saw that. We just kept at it. We kept telling them what our intention was, and we kept building the technology, tweaking the technology to the point where we got it. The DOC and parole, we Oprah'd them. They wouldn't give it to us, law enforcement agency to law enforcement agency. We had the vendor Oprah that. So then after a while, they were like, okay, we'll start doing it. And then the other data sets were just built through relationships through the years. I was at The Rock for 15 years. I know every Irish bar in the state of New Jersey. If you had a data set that I wanted, we were going into that bar and we were not coming out until I had that data set. And so I don't know if I'd recommend that, but it was effective over 15 years.
Okay, other questions? We have somebody in the red. Melissa?
Hi, ma'am.
Great presentation. One question I have, because there are quite a few practitioners in the room today, can you comment on the process for the startup of the initiative and some of the steps you took to get started? And as well, I'm curious to hear a little more about the process you undertook to get the prosecutors on board.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for that question. Excellent question. So yeah, so we've often talked about The Rock, and that this has been the story of my career. Really, we're building the plane as we fly it. My executive officer said, "Yeah, and the plane's on fire." So that's I jump in the stuff head first. I'm retiring in July, but I've been doing that since for the last 15 or so years. But there's always urgency. Like why put something off? Start it now. Identify a goal. I have a command, so that's part of it, man, right? What is the goal? Keep the goal, and what is the goal? Identify it. At first, too, even my colonel was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Can we do under 1,000?" I'm like, "Colonel, I don't know. But we're not going to know unless we try, right?" So I have a daily command staff meeting at 08:30, and it's virtual. And that is the section bosses know the priorities, and they're briefing up what are what's going on that's positive, that's reinforcing those priorities, and what are impediments to those priorities. The call lasts anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the day, mostly 10, 15 minutes. But that keeps everybody on track. So there was a time when Joe's the numbers guy. He knows how many people were shot in the state of New Jersey. That's unacceptable. To have one guy that knows it. Now, almost everybody in my branch knows the number every single day. They're on there knowing the day. Any one of my commanders could have come up here and given this presentation today, and that's what you want. You want the goal. You want everybody marching in the same direction. We meet with Ernest. We meet then operationally. We meet every week, and we just put the meeting together. What can we do? Was the first question. What can we do? And that's when we started to. We kind of had an idea, but it's better if it starts to come from the table. And we brought in who we thought were people that could add to it. And it didn't matter what your rank was or what part of the branch you were from or what agency you were from. If we thought you could bring value, you were at the table, and no idea was a bad idea. It got to the point where we had this, like I said, 3-month operational planning cycle for a warrant detail, to the point now where the analysts were starting the meeting off on what's happening in the environment and who's likely responsible, and then the other units were anticipating the questions. This happened within probably a month. They were anticipating the questions I was going to ask, to the point where I didn't have to ask them anymore. They were already on it. Sir, we're in front of his, it got to the point where we're on it tonight, we're going to go get him tonight sir, we know you're going to ask that. We're in front of his house right now, and we're waiting for him to come out, and we think he's got a gun. Just do it, and just stay on message, and keep the priority. With the prosecutors, we do have an AG directive, but I mean, there's directives for a lot of things. You really got to get out there, and you got to sell it. You got to find like-minded individuals, and it's okay too to find a like-minded individual and then ask him, who's your buddy over in Essex County, who's your buddy in Passaic County, who thinks like you, and game it. The regional meetings, when we started having regional meetings, it would be a room full of cops staring at each other unless we got a couple of guys to say stuff and say, hey, listen, we're going to have a round table. That's where the magic happens. At the round table, bring us your problem, and we're going to have like a predetermined solution already for it. But I guarantee you, what we would do is when we started the in-person strategy meetings, the regional ones, we would game the round table with 2 people, and invariably 2 other chiefs of police would pipe up with either a similar problem or a problem we did not anticipate, but it just got the conversation flowing. Did I hit it, ma'am? Or all right, thank you.
Check.
Other
Joe.
questions?
Yeah.
Joe, please.
So Joe, you actually did it. Something that a lot of us have been trying to accomplish for quite some time, so kudos to that.
Thanks, Joe.
The numbers you were spewing out of New Jersey at the beginning of your presentation makes me feel like I live on the safe side of the GW. But then I realized you were talking about the whole state of New Jersey, so I get it. And then that got me, listening to you speak, and I really want to just stress what Joe is saying up here right now. And not that I need to, I just feel like I want to. It took the NYPD years to get their own data under control. Joe got the state of New Jersey to kind of get everything together. And I think, how long did you say it took you just to get the warrants?
16 years of
16
asking.
years.
Yeah.
So this is, and I know I've spoken to a lot of people, and we're working on a similar project with IJIS right now on trying to do what you did in the state of New Jersey. So this needs a template on almost a project management scale with maybe a Gantt chart. Explaining, start with this, what can run concurrent. Clearly warrants is going to take 13 years, so let's start that going first. You get that going, let that run in the background while we're picking up these other things, and then they all start coming in. So I think this is something that needs a blueprint, is all I'm saying. Joe, bravo, great job, man, serious.
Thanks, Joe, and that's great praise coming from retired member of the New York City Police Department. Thank you. And so, and Joe, to your comment, thank you very much. The Northeastern University did a study of our crime gun intelligence buildup. And that's published, I think it's on even IJIS website there. But the next part of that, Joe, is almost like what you're suggesting, like a playbook for this. And certainly there's lessons to be learned from what we did. We made a lot of mistakes. We had a lot of good luck. We had a lot of good fortune and a lot of good luck on our side. But there were mistakes made. There were hurdles that were overcome that you could probably definitely learn from.
Renee?
Hi. It sounds like, well, I think you said that this level of analysis and information sharing is allowing you to be more precise with your arrests and reducing over-policing. Yes. And I'm wondering how and if that message is getting out to the community, how they're being engaged, and it can be a plus for police overall.
So sure, thank you for that, ma'am. Yeah, I mean, my executive officer, who was part of this whole buildup, is now the lieutenant colonel of the administration branch of the state police, and community and public outreach is there. And it's really the first time somebody, he's a through and through detective, crime dog. So he gets investigations and what we're trying to do through and through. And he always felt that there was a lack of, like a follow-up too. So his community outreach troopers are coming to the planning meetings. So they're seeing what we're doing, what the intent is, and what how it's being executed, and then what the impact is too. At the end of the day, what the impact is the impact. We don't care about arrests or gun recoveries, they're part of it, but reduction of people shot, reduction of cars stolen, reduction of people fatally overdosing. So what they're doing is thinking of ways, how do we support that? How do we get this message out there? First, they had to understand it, know it, and understand it. A lot of times, police departments as big as we are, the operations are siloed. This is a breaking down of that silo. So they attend community meetings and they're briefing this. What we're looking to do is when we do a warrant detail, we call the warrant detail SAFE. Strategic Apprehension Fugitive Enforcement, and it's to make the community safe. We're not going after the scofflaw unpaid ticket person. We're going after the most violent individuals in the city of New Jersey. Another time, you turn on the TV, right, and police commanders like, if only the public would tell us who's doing it. I investigated shootings. You're asking somebody to tell you who shot the guy on the ground. That's not a good proposition for most people. Like, they're scared to death. They don't. That's our job. They'll tell you, that's your job. Yeah, it is our job. But we've only recently been able to have data and technology to the level that we can answer that question. And when you go into a community and you're specifically targeting, pulling those super violent people out, those people are extremely happy to have that person removed. Back to my original point, what Colonel Fife is doing is he's going to start a program where they go in after the fact. And they go into the community and they say, listen, the New Jersey State Police and our partners with the Federal Marshal Service and our partners in the local area removed 4 individuals who were extremely violent and suspected in multiple shootings from your community. That's why we were here, basically just educating on what we did, not soliciting for information, but just an attempt to build trust and accountability. Trust that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, accountability that we're precisely pulling the right people out there, and maybe someday the community will feel confident that they can tell us who shot somebody. But it's we're I think a long way from that, but that's a step in the right direction. Did that answer the question, ma'am?
Thank you so much. I don't think there's any other questions, but I know that we too could go on forever.